Hello and welcome to this new episode of Open Book Entrepreneur. Today we have Eric here with us. He's a financial advisor. And also, Eric, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thanks, Tony. Eric Mangold. I'm the founder of Argusy Wealth Management. We're a financial planning firm located in New Jersey, but clients all over the US.
Fantastic, yeah. So, Eric, tell us please, like, what actually inspired you to get into this line of business?
It was my parents. My parents were people that were. My dad had a pretty debilitating back condition, and he had a really good job, but the back condition got it forced him to start scaling back on hours, forced him to actually go out on disability at a point. And I saw my mom and my dad. My mom worked as well, but I saw them starting to struggle with, how they were going to help my brother and I get to and go through college. And it was there, and it was kind of like the same time my dad's health was deteriorating that I was in college, and there was a curriculum called personal finance, and it's basically helping people achieve their financial goals and what that career may look like. And it really aligned perfectly because I was like, my parents really needed that. But at the time, and I grew up, blue collar, which was great. I had a really loving family, but it was the time where, unless you're ultra wealthy, people didn't have financial advisors or financial planners. You had stockbrokers who wanted to sell you the hottest stock, or insurance agents who just wanted to sell you an insurance policy, or CPAs who just wanted to file your tax return. And there was nobody that did like a comprehensive job of putting together a strategy, listening to hear about, okay, what are your struggles right now? Okay, you've got a debilitating back disease that might stop you from working. How are we going to continue? How are you going to retire? How are you going to help your boys get through college? So that's what really started it.
Okay, and then obviously you build up from there. And so what's one major thing that you're helping your clients with?
I think when work with my clients, one of the main things that I need them to understand is that I'm going to be there in good times as well as bad times. And when everybody's doing well in the markets, when the markets are thriving, when the account balances on the statement are going up, things are good, right? Things are good. Let's say things are maybe easier, right? But also one of the things that I expect talk to my clients about is that, yeah, I'm also there during bad times. As we shared a couple moments ago before we started, right? Like, I have a client who recently was laid off from a major investment bank, and she'd been there for 36 years. I mean, it was a big part of her identity. And the layoffs layoffs on Wall Street are callous. It's just there's the door, and thank you for your time, and see you later. And she was upset, and I think anybody could understand why she was upset. And the first person that she called was her sister, and the second person that she called was me. And it was her plan was to retire in 2 years from now, and so everything was accelerated 2 years earlier. And she's like, "Oh my God, is this completely messing up her plan? Like, do I have to find another job?" Like, she literally felt like the sky was falling. And I reassured her and said, "No, the plan is still solid, and it's nimble enough to handle an event such as this, such as you losing your job." And it was this moment of her taking a deep breath where it was really, it felt good for her, and it felt good for me too, because I was able to give her that comfort that she really needed at that critical moment where she was pretty upset and sad.
Definitely. So this is one of the ways how you help your clients, and it looks fantastic. And then on top of that, like obviously we were talking a little bit about challenges right now for you, for your business, for your sort of like niche as well, for your industry. So can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, a lot of people come. I do work with a lot of physicians and healthcare professionals, and many times we'll talk and joke around about how clients or patients come in and self-diagnose themselves with Dr. Google or AI, and doctors come in and the patient's got all these printouts, and they're like, I've got this on my shoulder. This is what it is. I need you to do surgery. And they're like, you know, why did you come to see me then? And 9 times out of 10, right? Like, the diagnosis isn't the accurate diagnosis. And it's very similar in my industry too, where people come and say, okay, I want to do this and this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Well, let's take a step back. Let's take a financial x-ray of where you are right now. Okay. And let's make sure that we put the specific building blocks in place in order. to make sure that we're building a good financial plan, we're building a good growth investment plan. We're also protecting their wealth too. It's a big piece, it's a big piece of what I do is talk about how do we protect wealth? Because I'll give you a great example. As a real life example happened 5 weeks ago. One of my clients who has real estate in a major New York city. There was a fire at one of his apartments, one of his condos that he owns, and he leases out. And his tenant got hurt in the fire. Thankfully, not majorly, but it was one of the things where we talked about how his assets were protected in certain areas based upon the planning and strategy that we put in place. Because he called me, rightfully so, freaking out, am I going to get sued for everything? And we talked, well, first thing I also helped him get an attorney that he could talk to, but then also we talked about how his investments were structured and how there was protection around a lot of his investments. So if he were to get sued, he would be protected. We talked about a lot of his protection strategies. So if he were to get sued, he would have some buffer there as well. So protecting wealth is as important, maybe sometimes even more important than building wealth, because if you build wealth and it's not protected and a catastrophe or a life event could make it all go away, it doesn't matter if you got 6% rate of return, 10% rate of return, 50% rate of return. If it all goes away because of risk, you know, that's not a really good thing to happen.
Definitely.
We're not doing a good job.
And it's such a good point, because a lot of people they just sort of like make money and they say, okay, I have money, nothing bad is gonna happen. I'm doing everything correctly by the book and all this stuff. Yeah, but
Yep.
as you said, like those are circumstances that you cannot control. I mean, and yeah, I've been involved in a lot of property deals in the past and stuff, and sometimes people forget to do like a gas certificate, for example, in London. Yeah, someone forgot to do that, and there was a major problem with the gas. Yeah, so it's like things happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
things happen, especially when you go from like maybe being a one-man band to having a lot of properties, a lot of people, a lot of things to manage, family, all this stuff. Like you cannot remember to do everything. Yeah, so
Yep.
I'm sure like what you're doing can help people in those situations. Yeah,
You said it exactly. Things happen and things can happen and they do happen. And people talk about like statistics of being hit by lightning and statistics of being bitten by a shark if you go into the ocean.
yeah,
And I say, those are all interesting statistics when it comes to financial planning. What is your risk of having a house fire? What is your risk of dying before 60? That type of thing. And statistics are good, the statistics are good, but when it comes to real life, I say statistics really don't matter because if you're the one that gets bit by the shark, you don't care what the stats are. You just know that something just bit you, right? And it's the same type of thing. Like my client who had the condo fire, he doesn't care what the statistics are. He just cares that he's protected enough so if he gets sued, that he's not going to lose everything. Stats, he doesn't care about the stats. He's
yeah.
like, am I going to lose everything?
Definitely, definitely. Okay, and so what's one piece of advice that you can actually share with our audience when it comes to either protecting wealth or finding someone to help them out, really map everything out and make a plan and make the correct sort of um, decisions?
Yeah. I think do first thing is do your own research. The second thing is don't be afraid to enlist a licensed professional who can help. Again, I work with a lot of physicians. I work with a lot of brilliant, brilliant people. A lot of physicians don't like, or nor do they have, or nor do they ever had the training on the finance side. And so, but sometimes they're a little bit apprehensive to seek out help. And yet, when we kind of open up the onion a little bit and peel back the onion, they show like, okay, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be a little vulnerable and not knowing everything. Like, I don't know how to do brain surgery, and that's okay, right? When I meet with my brain surgeon clients, like that's okay. But they don't necessarily know how to do a retirement planning. And sometimes it's okay to open up and be vulnerable in that moment with someone that you can trust to help you get from point A today to point B, which is your own financial summit.
Exactly. Okay, that sounds good. And then on top of that, like if someone wants to actually get in touch with you, Eric, find out a little bit more about you, connect to you, how they can do that.
So a couple different ways they can go onto my website, which is just my first name, initial and last name. It's emangold, EMANGOLD.com. LinkedIn, and also I have the Man in Search of Gold podcast, which I bring people on. We talk about different financial topics, and I also talk to people about their journeys in life and their journey about their finances and hearing about people's struggles with their finances because it is really common. So the philosophy of the podcast is the more people talk about their struggles with finances, the others that hear about it, the listeners, can be motivated and compelled to get the help that they might need. Rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to definitely share those links in the description of this episode, and anyone watching us can actually check that out. Also, if you have any questions for Eric or me, you can ask them in the comments as well. And then on top of that, yeah, if you like this episode, drop us a like, subscribe, and Eric, thank you so much for being a guest. It was really wonderful to actually hear those tips and examples, and yeah, really nice episode. So thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode. All the best and bye bye.
Thanks, Tony.